Welcome to Border Life. This week we're in Hawick, where they're gearing up for the annual Reivers Festival. It's a pageant of colour and drama as the town remembers the Reivers, that self-appointed army which once ruled this part of the world.
It was a hard period of time, but I think it is actually responsible for shaping the character of the modern-day borderer.
We talk to those dedicated to recreating Reiver times.
You're getting together with friends who are also passionate about history, a bit nuts for dressing up.
And we prepare for a celebration of the town's long association with the horse in both war and peace.
It really is horse country, and it does lend itself incredibly well to doing a sort of dramatic performance as well, which is something we love.
This weekend, the border town of Hawick celebrates its colourful history, and what a past that is. Centuries ago, this was a land ruled by Reivers. Frankly, it was like something out of the Wild West.
Listen, can ye hear the sound enough to make ye shiver? The whining gales are widows' wails that haunt her dales forever.
The great Reiver families protected what was theirs and stole what wasn't. And the Hawick Reivers Festival is a dramatic reminder of those times.
Advance your pike!
Emma Baker has been watching the preparations.
Here to God! It's been 400 years and more since let's get down the time! March on! Here it's by night, great glass of steel.
It's a scene set to intimidate all but the most fearsome of fighters. If you want a taste of Reiver life, look no further than the Border Clansman. You know, watching these guys in action, I can assure you, is absolutely terrifying. I'm so relieved this is the comfort of 2014 and not 1514. But this is just part of the preparations ahead of this weekend's festival. So let's head on in and see how they're getting on. Now, Derek, this looks very authentic, and of course it is just how the Reivers would have been, isn't it?
Yeah, it's as close as I can get to the real thing, this costume here.
So just talk me through your wardrobe today then.
So I've got my leather foot to mid-thigh boots, they're square-toed. Moving up, my trousers, these are called trunk hose. They come to mid-thigh and they're slashed. Slashed to give the impression that I've been in combat, cut by swords, give the impression that I'm a brave man. Moving up, my slashed doublet in the same fashion, and for armour I've got on a quilted jack, like a big sandwich of metal.
So nothing's going to get through there?
Oh, not at all, it's almost bulletproof. Moving up, on the head you've got a steel bonnet.
And would the Reivers have been able to afford helmets in those days?
Oh yeah, I mean, they're quite expensive, but Reivers didn't buy much. They pinched them, of course.
So you're well protected. And I see you've also got a money pouch here as well.
Yeah, well, a big thing of the Reivers was taking blackmail. Now, blackmail is a word that comes from the Reiver period. The word mail means rent, so the word blackmail means illegal rent. So the Reiver will go to a man's house, okay? You'd say, you pay us money, and if you don't pay us money, we'll burn your house down. But if you did pay the person Reiver money, they would protect you from other Reivers from being robbed. You get a real feel for the period by wearing the costume. You can feel that it's heavy, your neck gets sore, your hand gets sore with the sword, my arm's aching from the combat. Wearing this helmet, I can see okay, but it echoes, it clanks, you can feel it better, smell it better.
And that shows you that being a Reiver really was quite tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a harsh life, I think. I think most Reivers lived about 40 years old, if you're lucky.
As a reenactment society, these men are dedicated to creating a snapshot of that harsh life that's as realistic as possible. It takes weeks of preparation, but why exactly do they do it?
The real reason I do it is because it's fun. You're getting together with friends who are also passionate about history, and a bit nuts for dressing up at the weekends. You get to fire guns and muskets and cannons.
Musketeer, retire!
Why do you drive around in a vintage car? Why do you buy all the parts? Why do you know everything about a particular model? It's the same for people who dress up, and we research our swords, we research what actually people used to wear, we make sure we got it right, and I think it's a hobby like anything else.
I'm a Kerr, we have a Scott, we have a Douglas in our group, so it's like we've actually doing our ancestors proud and honour to actually continue a gift and know that you have a history and be proud of it.
It's that pride and dedication that helps make the Reivers Festival what it is today.
Quiet arms!
But of course, an event like this doesn't just happen. An awful lot of planning goes into making this festival. With me now are Evelyn and Kath, who've been involved with it since the beginning. Why did you go for Reivers particularly?
Reiving history is integral to this town and everything that this town really stands for. Everyone knows their history, connects with their history. The Reiving shouldn't be seen as a romantic story though. It was a difficult, hard period of time, but I think it is actually responsible for shaping the character of the modern day borderer, and people still relate to it.
So Evelyn, what excitements have you got for us this year?
Lots of things for all the family. On Friday night we start with the band Scotia, and then on Saturday we'll have the big parade with the horses and the children, 16th century market, and then we'll have the medieval games, and then on Saturday afternoon we start with the selling of the torches in the Common Hawk. Many people come from all over to the festival, which is great for Hawick. They come from Holland, and we've had them from Canada, and it's marvellous for the town because it puts Hawick on the map.
And I think it serves to bring the community together behind that, particularly this year, which is such an important year in Hawick's history with the 2014, the memories of Hornsole and 1514.
And when it's all over, I presume you think, well, I never want to see anything Reiverish again, that's it.
Well, on the last night, yes, you think like that, but then you have time to reflect and then you keep going on because you have another idea about something and you just continue on.
You know how the common riding is such a feature of Hawick, it's there in Hawick's history, but do you think that in 20 years' time the Reiver Festival will also be up there?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's what we're aiming for, and that's what it's been growing and growing in stature over the past 12 years, and we hope that it will continue to grow.
Usually around this stage we're thinking, gosh, can we do this again? But after the success of the weekend and the enormous feedback we get from the community afterwards, you think, yeah, it's worth doing. It's a valuable thing for the town and for the borders, and it must be kept going. However, I would say that we're always open to new people coming along with new ideas and getting involved.
Hawick Reivers Festival also celebrates the town's long association with the horse, as a beast of burden, a comrade in battle, and for the sport of kings. Back to Emma now, who's been looking at the importance of the horse in Reiver life.
The Reivers were well known for their horses. To get from A to B quickly, it was an essential. Their job was in the saddle, riding to a neighbouring farm to rob their livestock, and without a horse you can't round cattle up, you can't get away quickly, you can't chase people quickly. If your cows are stolen, you need to be able to jump on your horse to chase after them and try and get those cows back.
This is our land, it is our...
Jake is part of a family of horse entertainers based at Lantern who will be performing this weekend. How much do you look forward to the Reiver Festival? Because you really are bringing your horses and your skills to the people, aren't you?
That's right. The Reaver Festival is absolutely fantastic. I really wish people would do more things like that in their local towns. It's brilliant with its history behind it as well. We really enjoy coming along, and whether it's just the parade or whether it's doing a sort of performance on top of that, it really gives us a place locally to us where we can perform and show off what we've been doing, what we've been working on, and it does lend itself incredibly well to doing a sort of dramatic performance as well, which is something we love, isn't it, Alfie?
Clearly Alfie loves that too.
He does, yeah.
This is our borderland. These are the hills we call our own. Here are the hearts that beat as one.
Hawick and the rest of the borders, horses are such a large thing. It really is horse country.
Of course, even in horse country, getting 6 animals ready for performing in front of the festival crowds is no mean feat, and it all has to look authentic. Hi Bethany. Hi. What are you up to?
I'm just putting the saddle on Pluto.
This is Pluto?
Yes.
Hello Pluto.
He's going to be at the Reaver Festival, just trying out the tack to see if it all fits and test it all out.
And of course all this tack is just as it was back in the day.
Yes, yeah. Well, this is a modern saddle now, but it's a Portuguese dressage saddle, so it's of the same shape as the saddles would have been all that time ago.
It's really quite ornate, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Well, you know, they took quite a lot of pride in their tack and the things that they had on their horses, because it would have been like the cars, you know, a fancy car of those days, and you want everything to be, you know, bling and shiny, and you know they had a lot of studs and things.
The Reaver horses were often Andalusians or Frisians, 2 breeds well suited to the reaving ways.
It's often said that the Reaver's horses were quite small, compact horses that were able to go across any ground. Pluto here is a purebred Andalusian horse. The breed originated in Spain and they date back to before Christ. They're one of the first horses to have been recorded. They were bred for their agility, for rounding up cattle, and the Frisian horses were bred for their strength for carrying knights into battle. And also the Frisians have incredibly deep veins and arteries, which means glancing sword blows would have caused much less damage to the horses we know of today, the thoroughbreds and other horses like that.
So Pluto's quite a realistic Reaver horse then?
He is, yes, and his small stature is very similar to how they would have been.
Well, if you want a chance to see Pluto and the rest of the team, they'll be performing in both the parade and the Reavers Market on Saturday.
You're watching Border Live. Time for a break now, but in part 2 we'll be heading deep into Reaver country and meeting the descendants of some of those raiders and riders. Join us in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Hawick, where we're looking ahead to this weekend's Reavers Festival. At the heart of it is the legacy of those riders and raiders who, around 500 years ago, terrorised a lawless borderland. To find out more about them, I visited nearby Harden House. It's a great Reaver landmark. This is still home to a descendant of one of the most famous freebooters of them all. Walter Scott of Harden's exploits have claimed their place in border myth and legend.
Old Wat, he was called. He was young once, I think, because he married Mary Scott of Dryup over in the Ettrick Valley. But he would have lived here, and he also had a tower at Ettrick too, at Kirkup.
So Old Wat of Harden, he was formidable, wasn't he? Legend has it.
Yes, he wasn't liked by everybody, but he was a doughty fighter.
He would ride by moonlight, wouldn't he? He had a wonderful saying when he went out riding.
Yes, well, there is a saying in Latin, which I can't believe he invented, but it means there will be moonlight again. And I have to say, there are nights here at Harden where you really can walk by moonlight. It's just wonderful. And it's something I love to do.
And it's such a dramatic place, Harden. We're looking down over the valley here, over what's called the Beef Tub.
It's known locally as the Tub, yes, indeed.
And it's where the reivers would hide their stolen cattle?
That's right. They would drive them in here and guard them. And when there were none left, the lady of the house, by repute, used to serve up a dish of spurs for her menfolk.
Not such a subtle hint.
No, not very. No,
Get out there and get some food for us.
Well, with however many sons she had, 5 or 6, she couldn't be subtle, I don't think. She had to make her point, yes.
Harden is just one of a number of famous reiver landmarks that still stand today, respected by so many of those whose reiving ancestors rode this land.
Harden's an iconic place in the reiving geography, as is Carlin Rig, where Johnny Armstrong was basically treacherously done to death by a 17-year-old king that should have known better. Liddesdale was such a notorious place that it needed a warden all its own, and the keeper of Liddesdale was based at Hermitage Castle, that Eric Robson so memorably described as sod off in stone.
It's a wonderful description of it, isn't it? Sod off in stone. But it is so menacing, isn't it? And it
is a brooding...
It's known as Mighty Hermitage.
Yes, it's got a brooding, sinister presence, and it's not to be messed with even now, all these years further on. It must have been a pretty scary place in the reiving days.
Tell me about the other border names. We've spoken about the Scots, but who else is there?
There's the Armstrongs and the Elliots, the Nixons, the Beatties, the Turnbulls, the Kerrs. They were all in the border area, and they were all a bit a nuisance to the authorities. Not that there was much law and order really in these days at all.
What about the Landals? Where do they come from?
The Landals, as their name suggests, were landless, and therefore we didn't feature. We didn't have a big mansion house now. It's descended from a peel tower.
How proud are you, Ian, to be descended from a border reiver?
I'm very proud of my ancestry. I'm proud to be a Hawick man first and foremost, then a borderer, then a Scot. That's the pecking order. But this is my country, the land that begat me. These windy spaces are surely my own, and those who here toil by the sweat of their faces are flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone. When the summertime is ended and the nights are drawing in, when the leaves fall from the hardened trees, we feel the urge again to saddle up and gallop off like our sires in days gone by, across the hills to Cumberland in search of English kye. Nae soundel low and cattle in the beef tub beneath the tour means Harden's kitchen larder's got nothing in it but stour, and Mary's less than subtle hint of spurs upon the plate means Wat and his bold retinue must tack the border gate. For Wat must go a-reiving, as the Scots have always done, when the night is clear, the stars are out, and the moon shines bright again. The Harden motto, there will be moonlight again.
Well, of course, one of the big features of Hawick's Reiver Festival is the music. And one band that regularly graces the stage here is Scotia. Ian Scott, one of the founder members. I hate to put a Scot next to a Turnbull statue, or an Armstrong for that matter, but there we are. What is the story here?
This is William of Rule. So he was the man that was that turned the bull. It's famed that when King Robert the Bruce was hunting in the ancient woods of Caledonia, there was a bull came charging for him, and William of Rule, being a big giant of a man, wrestled the bull to the ground. And then the king turned to William of Rule and said, "I shall call you Turney Bull for your deeds," and gave him a bunch of lands and stuff. So it's a great story. And their motto is, the Turnbull motto is, "I saved the king."
I saved the king.
But Ian, you more than any other band must have done so much to promote the borders through your music.
Yeah, it's not something that we do deliberately, it's just that we love to sing about. That's what our passion is. We love to travel the world and sing about the borders, because it's something we've got a real passion for, you know. And I think if you've got a passion for something, it comes out in the music, and people can relate to that.
Ah, but I mind the day
When with my lass I stroll by the tay, oh, but a beauty that just fades away among the hills or the borders. It's great you get the younger ones into that and they get a passion for the traditional stuff, but mixed in with that is some of our own material as well. So like up-to-date border songs about the Turnbulls and about Reivers, Geordie Burns, and it's about bringing it to the kids and making it a bit rock and roll, and that's kind of what we were about.
When you go abroad, you are telling people about the Bonnie Tweed. I mean, people in America now know about the Bonnie Tweed and how she flows because of your music.
Yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it? And we get visitors that come from all over the world to come to our gigs, and it's really quite humbling, you know, when you get these people turning up from Canada and America and, you know, all over Europe. It's fabulous, it really is.
When I die, very below, where I can hear the Bonnie Tweed flow, a sweeter place I never will know than the rolling hills of the borders.
When you're up there on the stage and you're singing your heart out, you're just belting it out, and do you ever think, gosh, here I am, the descendant of a Reiver?
From being a Scot and coming from the Reivan country, is we just love the Borders landscape. You see, when we go all over the world and you go to places that haven't got any hills, and as a Scot, I just get really quite disconcerted when I can't see a hill anywhere. And it's because, you know, you get so used to being in the Borders and being used to the hill, and you kind of get your bearings from that, and it's a wonderful part of the world to stay and live. You know, it's got such a rich heritage of music and folklore and stories, so it's really quite an easy place actually to be inspired by.
I never will know when the rolling hills of the borders.
And that's all from Border Life this week. We hope we've persuaded you that this weekend, Hawick is the place to be.
And the rolling hills of the borders.
See you next time. Till then, goodbye.